एकमक्षरं हृदि निरन्तरं भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम्। हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं मात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भाव कोऽहं भावयुत कुतो वरधियन् दृष्टात्मनिष्टात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। Namo Ramana. In this, the Thursday Satsang from Ramanacentre for Learning, it has been our practice to select two verses from the work Guruvachaka Kovai. The work is compiled by Muruganar Swamigal. The verse selection is done randomly by Revatima. Each verse is read and the verse reading is followed by a short meditation on its meaning, and that is followed by the practice of Atma Vicharam for about 15 minutes. And after these two segments of verse reading, meditation on meaning, and the practice of self-enquiry are completed, there will be summing up remarks by Venkatesh Deshpande ji, and that will be followed by the offering of Sri Ramanacentre. The chanting will be by Vaibhavji and Prarthnama online. The rest of us can do the practice of Atma Vicharam then. The Samadhi Sthiti of bringing the Jagrat and Sushupti together can be done with Bahya Prajna also. That even when listening to Ashtotram, which is a Deha Bahya Prajna, instead of having multiplicity of objects, which would be called as Drishya Anuvida Bahya Prajna or Bahya Samadhi, here the Guru comes to us in the form of the Ashtotra Nama. It is all one Nama coming as Ashtotram. So when that Bhakti Bhavana is Ekam, then the entire exterior becomes just that one sound of chanting of. And when one asks who is the listener, then there is Bahya Shabda Anuvida Samadhi. It is Savikalpa because effort is there. You are listening, which is one effort. And instead of focusing on the listening, let it be as Ishwara Ajna is there and focusing on who is listening. That is Savikalpa Samadhi. So that is called as Bahya Shabda Anuvida Samadhi Sthiti, which you will be practicing in the end when listening to Ashtotra. The chanting will be done by Vaibhavji and Prarthana, and the satsang will come to an end at that point. We begin with the reading of the first verse selected for us, 346, 346th verse. In those whose mind who abide, in those who abide in the heart that exists as the form of grace, the mind whose nature is darkness will completely die. In those who abide in the heart that exists as the form of grace, the mind whose nature is darkness, it is the opposite of grace, whose nature is darkness, will completely die. In their vision, which vision has attained the splendor of the direct experience that overflows, assuming the form of reality everywhere and everything, is saturated with bliss. In their vision, which vision has attained the splendor of direct experience that overflows, assuming the form of reality everywhere and everything, their vision, there one comma should come, is saturated with bliss. Their vision, two qualities to that vision, which has attained the splendor of direct experience, the direct experience overflows, and that vision assumes the form of reality everywhere and in everything. Then that vision is saturated with ananda, with bliss. So, in those who abide in the heart, that exists, the heart itself is grace. Where we are going in Atma Vicharam is itself Arul. Because the very breaking of the Chidjada Granthi is Arul, is grace. The existence of Chidjada Granthi, the knot between the consciousness and the inert body, that is the source of all trouble, and that manifests as the mind. But those who have crossed the mind and their vision is filled with the heart vision, there the mind whose nature is darkness completely vanishes. They are thought free, they are mind free, they are heartful, and their vision, what it has attained direct experience. It is aparoksha anubhuti of the Atma. The Atma shines as I. There is no indirectness about it. The mind, everything is indirect. The thoughts are all lit up by another consciousness. Consciousness apart from the thought. Whereas in the grace, in the heart, in the vision of those who are abiding in the heart, there is no darkness. There is only overflowing direct experience of the I. They see the that vision is filled with experiencing the reality everywhere and in everything, in all places, wherever one is, and whatever one identifies with or sees, everything is filled with the spurana, with the I. Then their vision, which is no more called as mind, is saturated with ananda. Their understanding is that there is nobody caught in bondage, that all this apparent bondage and apparent struggle for liberation is all permeated by the one Satchit Ananda. And that is what they will be telling the others also, that you are also Ananda Swarupa. You are not this mental identity, the physical identity to which you have limited yourself to through the Chitjada Granthi. So put your attention, the ray of the attention on the Chitjada Granthi. How to put the attention on the Chitjada Granthi? Whenever a thought arises, if you follow it, you are following the darkness of the mind. Whereas one is asked to inquire for whom is this thought, the answer will always come, that thought is for a Chitjada Granthi. Then inquire Chitjada Granthi, I. Put the attention on who am I. With repeated focusing of the lens and the sunbeam onto this I, the I, which is a false entity, it drops away and one is able to abide in the heart, which is which is fullness of grace, which is overflowing and saturated with bliss. There is only that bliss, there is nothing else. There is no bondage, hence there is no struggle for liberation. So we go to the practice of directing the attention onto the Chitjada Granthi by the practice of Atma Vicharam for the next 15 minutes. Ujjwalji, you will help us set the time there. Namo Ramana.
Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue by taking the second verse selected for us, verse number 407. Verse number 407. The Jiva, the Son of God, the Jiva, the Son of God, forgetting his real nature, suffers crying and lamenting. The Jiva, who is the Son of God, forgetting his real nature, which is one with the heart, suffers crying and lamenting. If he zealously inquires, who is the I who suffers? Who is the I who suffers? And thereby abides in the heart, he will then realize his glorious nature, his complete identity with his Father, who is the Self. So this is from the Christian mysticism, which has the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. So here the two entities of Father and Son are taken up. It is said that Christ was put to the cross because he claimed his Father and he are one, and that the ones who were worshipping were feeling that this is against spirituality, that God should not be claimed to be one with the Jiva, or the Jiva should not claim itself to be one with God. That is blasphemous, was the claim then. But then Bhagavan says how it need not be claimed on the outside, but it can be completed on the inside. The Jiva, the Son of God. We are the Son of God. We are not this biological entity that has come through the union of a biological father and biological mother and out of a biological mother. We are not merely that. We are the consciousness, the fragment of consciousness, which some belief systems say has run through many such biological bodies. But now has suffered enough because the biological body is limited and is subject to pleasure and pain. Sometimes it feels the pleasure, many times it feels the pain. It is limited. One also suffers through the various hurts one has in the emotional body. One suffers limitations through the limited knowledge or limited cause and effect knowledge we have. All these limitations are to one, are to a Jiva. So the Chitjada Granthi again is said to be the root cause of all sufferings. So Bhagavan here is saying that when we inquire into the root of sufferings and even the root of the temporary pleasures or temporary happinesses we have got, they are all sufferings in the waiting. A man is as poor as he is rich, it is said. Bettada ettara giriya bittara, or giriya ettara bettada bittara, they say that the so far as you find yourself as tall, to that extent is what you can fall. So to the extent you feel you are rich compared to zero, to that extent only you can become poor. So this world is like that, that what you feel as richness now is actually a measure of your poverty. That is the extent to which you can become poor, because you feel somebody else is richer than you, then you can fall to that extent. That because in deep sleep, that richness which you have measured for yourself or to the other is not there. So once one inquires into these things and finds that how to overcome this suffering, then Bhagavan appears and says, this is only to the one who separates himself from the glorious Father, the Father who does not have Ettara or Bittara. The dualities are not there in this Purana. You are a bit of consciousness that feels it is apart from the perfect Father. How can anything be apart from that perfectness? So Bhagavan says, whenever something apart from you appears, you understand that cannot be the Father's nature. Because Father is never apart from you. There is nothing apart from the Father. He is perfect. Therefore, whenever something apart appears, you ask, for whom is this thing that appears to be apart? Instead of going and embracing it immediately, saying that this is the richness I was searching for, you ask, for whom is this thought? The answer will come, it is for me. When you put attention on the I, then it starts moving towards the nature of the Father. The nature of the Father is a knowledge that doesn't have any limits, so knows itself only. Only when a knowledge has inside and outside, it can see another. When the knowledge is complete, it permeates everything, then it cannot see anything other than itself. That is where Bhagavan is taking us. That the Jiva, the Son of God, forgetting his real nature, suffers crying and lamenting because he is attached, identified with the physical body and with the mental identity. If we zealously inquire, who is this I who suffers, and thereby abides in the heart is where the consciousness is free of all thoughts, then he will then realize his glorious nature. We are not the sufferings. Our very existence is glory. We are a personification of glory. In fact, there is no personification. There is only glory. There is only grace. We are anugraha. We are the grace itself. We are the fullness, and we are never apart from the Father. That is the realization. His complete identity with the Father. That I am the body, Granthi is gone, and this Purana shines all by itself. That is our reality. That is our glorious nature. And that is where we go in Atma Vichara. Of course, we were talking about listening to the Ashtotram as Bahya, Shabda Anuvida, Savikalpa Samadhi. Inside also there are Antah Savikalpa, Drishyanuvida Samadhi, Shabda Anuvida Samadhi. Drishyanuvida is when each thought comes, you let it go and ask, for whom is this? Then we are bringing Samadhi. Samadhi is nothing but bringing Jagrat and Sushupti together. Jagrat is the Jiva with gross or subtle body. Sushupti is the consciousness without gross or subtle body. Therefore, when the gross body is let it be and we inquire into the subtle body, when we let go of thought, each thought as it arises, then that is Anta within us. Drishyanivida, because each thought is separately held. Savikalpa, because there is effort. Samadhi, we are holding who am I. Anta Shabda Anivida means instead of each thought arising, if we inquire into who is the one who is in the waking state. Bhagavan has asked us to inquire into who is the one who is trapped in the waking state. That means instead of different thoughts, we inquire only into the waking state entity and take him to the source. Then Bhagavan has aggregated all the waking state thoughts into one thought called waking state. And that is Shabda Anuvida. In one Shabda, he has aggregated all the various Drishyas. So then it becomes Anta Shabda Anuvida. Or when we are doing a mantra, when we are so used to Upadesha Saram, let us say, and the Upadesha Saram chanting is going on inside us, but we are paying attention to who is chanting, then it becomes Anta Shabda Anuvida Savikalpa Samadhi. In both Bahi and Anta, when the Samadhi is effortless, one has merged unconsciously, unknowingly into the light of the space, then we call it as Nirvikalpa, Kevala Nirvikalpa. But Bhagavan is teaching Sahaja Nirvikalpa. Sahaja Nirvikalpa means the identity with the Father is complete. That this Purana is our nature. Therefore, whether bodily sensations are there, then also Spurana is going on. When you are internal also, this Spurana is going on. So that is called as Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The 6 states of Samadhi and the Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi are like this. We are now going to practice Anta Savikalpa Samadhi with effort. It can be Drishyanvida or Shabdanvida. You may have one thought which you are going to take, who is the one seated in meditation, or you may let go of thoughts as they come, which is called as Drishyanvida Samadhi. Either way, Atma Vicharam will be putting the attention on the I thought and bringing the waking and deep sleep in yoga, in oneness. So they are actually together, and then the outside space is also absorbed in the Spurana, and the Father alone shines in all his glory. The Jiva trapped in waking state or unconsciously going into deep sleep is no more there. So the waking, dream, deep sleep, and the Jiva all vanish into the Father, this Purana. So that is what we are going to practice for the next 15 minutes. Ujjwalji will help us out in that. Namo Ramana sir.
Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. I request Venkatesh ji to give us the summing up remarks. Namo Ramana, sir.
Namo Ramana. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhyanamoolam Gurur Murtihi, Pujamoolam Gurur Padam, Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam, Mokshamulam Gurur Kripaha, Mokshamulam Gurur Kripaha. Let's look like look. Let's look at a situation where a spiritual man who's been involved in spiritual activities brings a family member to the hospital, to the ICU. Then what happens when he's sitting outside the ICU? You know the light, the red light outside the ICU, and the operation is going on. Imagine the spiritual man. Now the spiritual man is used to doing self-enquiry, but suddenly he stops doing self-enquiry. So what happens? Every second feels like an hour. You know, the person who's sitting outside the ICU, he's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. And it feels like 1 hour. Every second feels like an hour. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? So what has happened? The mind has taken over, and the spirituality has gone out of the window. And suddenly, what happens? The doctor comes out. The door opens. The doctor comes out, and then the doctor says everything is fine. Then what happens? The mind which was so anxious at that point of time till then suddenly relaxes, and he experiences a sense of joy. Now, what happens? He thinks actually the because of the news of the loved one who's inside the ICU that this happiness has happened. Was this happiness? The question we have to ask: was this happiness manufactured? No, it was not there. Not manufactured. It was always there. It always existed. But the individual did not see this that it existed within. The beauty about this is when the anxiousness was there was no happiness. And when the happiness was there was there was no anxiousness. So both of them can't coexist at the same time. There's only one that can exist at one time. So this is very important. So it's like we say in the Ekashloki, Hridaya Kuharam Madhye, in the interior of the heart cave, Brahman alone shines in the form of the self. We all know this very, very well. Now, if a man is going for a heart operation, what happens? He says, God, I may die. You know, I may die. I may be a dead body. Because he's so attached to the body and attached to all his family, friends, and all these things. He says, I may die. But a child, imagine, I used to go, for many years, I used to go into the ICU, child ICUs in the US. And I used to see these little children being operated. They were all smiles. It's like what comes to my mind, it's like the child is saying, telling the doctor, hey, doctor, you're opening my heart now. You know, they say, in the cave of your heart, God only exists. So then you will be seeing God there. When you open my heart, you will actually meet God. Do tell him that everything is fine. Everything is perfect. Do tell him that. So the mind, if the mind is inward turned, you will experience that joy within. Or if the mind is stuck with Vishya vasanas, you will be all the time in thinking of the wrong things and be anxious. So the trick about all sadhana is to be within and experience the joy that you really are. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana, sir. I request Vaibhavji and Pratnama to offer the chanting of Sri Ramana Stotram. Namo Ramana Vaibhavji, Namo Ramana Pratnama.
Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana.
Raghunandan, they will be doing the chanting of Ashtotram now. Please mute your phone and do self-enquiry. 5 more minutes, they will be doing the chanting.
भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महोंसेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थळे लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंभ्रमाय नमः ॐ सुसन्द्रशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईड्याय नमः ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्बोधस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ ऋचान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणात् बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शूणादृशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। शूद्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगभिषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थानोररुणाचलस्य पतयोः स्मृत्याजनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाह विवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नमः इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
नमो रमण वैभव जी, नमो रमण प्रार्थना, नमो रमण वेंकटेश जी, नमो रमण उज्जवल जी, नमो रमण टू ऑल।
रमण नंदकुमार